All right, let's get right into it. We're going to explore the neuroscience behind what really separates high achievers from everyone else. And the cool part? We're going to break down exactly how you can, quite literally, change your own brain.
So, first things first. We have to bust one of the biggest myths out there when it comes to success. This isn't about luck, it's not about genetics, and it's definitely not about some magic talent you either have or you don't.
Which, leads us to the biggest question of all. Is being a high performer something that's just reserved for a select few, or is it possible for anyone, and I really do mean anyone, to get to that level?
Well, the science is incredibly clear on this one. The answer is a huge yes. Your brain isn't some fixed thing set in stone. Think of it more like a dynamic system that's just waiting for your instructions. High performance isn't something you inherit, it's something you build.
And the blueprint for building it? It's actually way simpler than you might think. It really just boils down to two key things. Motivation, that internal fire to even get started, and time, the commitment it takes for all those new connections in your brain to actually stick. You get a handle on these two, and you've basically mastered growth.
Okay, so how does this whole construction project actually work inside your head? Well, it all comes down to an incredible, built-in superpower that your brain has.
And that superpower is called neuroplasticity. Now, this isn't just some fancy buzzword. It's the core idea that your brain can physically rewire itself based on what you experience, what you focus on, and what you do. You really are the architect of your own mind.
Now, this is where we need to clear up a huge misunderstanding. The chemical that's directing all this change is dopamine, but it's not the happiness molecule everyone thinks it is. It's actually the motivation molecule. It's the chemical of pursuit. It's what makes you want to get off the couch and go after a goal.
And who's in charge of this whole operation? Well, that would be your prefrontal cortex. Just think of it as the CEO of your brain. It's the part that holds on to the long-term vision, that learns from mistakes, and that directs all your resources towards the things you really want to achieve. Okay, so if dopamine is the fuel and our prefrontal cortex is the CEO, where does our motivation actually come from? The answer might surprise you. It's less about finding the perfect job and more about the story you're telling yourself.
The real secret is all about identity. We don't just find enjoyment in random things. We find enjoyment in the things that we connect with our sense of self. When a task lines up with who you believe you are, well, that's when motivation really kicks in.
So this is really about figuring out your personal story, your self-narrative. What kind of character are you playing in your own life? Are you the one who solves puzzles, the competitor, the helper? Once you figure out that core story, you can find a way to connect it to almost anything you do, and that unlocks a ton of motivation. And hey, if you're sitting there thinking, I have no idea what my narrative is, try this little exercise. Sit down and write your life story, but do it in the third person, as if you're a character in a book. He did this, then she felt that. You'll start to notice patterns and themes, and that'll help you see the story you've been living all along.
Now, that internal story you tell yourself, it has a direct physical impact on your body's master control system. So your nervous system really only has two settings, and learning how to switch between them is the absolute key to managing your energy and your focus.
So here are the two states. You've got the sympathetic state, that's fight or flight for when you feel threatened, and then you have the parasympathetic, that's rest and digest for when you feel safe. One state winds you up for action, the other one helps you calm down, recover, and grow.
But here's the problem. Our brains didn't evolve for a world of constant email alerts and traffic jams. So modern life can easily trick our nervous system into getting stuck in that fight or flight mode pretty much 24/7. And that leads to chronic stress and eventually burnout. And this is what happens next. When we're chronically stressed, we look for relief. Bad strokes are those quick external fixes, like sugar or binge watching, that give you a temporary hit, but actually leave you feeling worse. Good strokes, on the other hand, are like internal fuel. Things like getting some movement or connecting with friends that genuinely help your system recover. So how do we actually put all this into practice? Let's build a toolkit with some simple, practical steps you can use to start rewiring your brain, literally starting today. Okay, if you remember nothing else, remember this. If you're feeling stuck, unmotivated, or stressed, the very first thing you should do is move your body. Movement acts like a biological pump for dopamine. That quick 5-minute walk isn't just a break, it's a full-on neurochemical reset. And you really can't underestimate this connection between your body and your mind. When you stretch and make your body more physically flexible, You are literally forcing your nervous system out of that rigid, stress-out state and into a calm, relaxed one. A flexible body really does help create a flexible mind.
You know, at the end of the day, building a more resilient system is all about focusing on the things you can actually control. Things like the quality of your sleep, moving your body, connecting with people, and even being mindful of what you're consuming. News, social media, all of it. These daily habits are the real foundation for a brain that can handle stress and is ready to grow.
And that brings us to a really powerful final thought. We tend to see challenges and suffering as things we need to avoid at all costs. But if you look at it through the lens of neuroplasticity, those tough moments are the very things that trigger growth. Difficulty is the signal your brain needs to build new, stronger pathways.
Which really leaves us with the most important question of all. Your brain is changing every single day, whether you're paying attention to it or not. Neuroplasticity is always happening. So the question isn't if you're going to grow and change, it's what are you growing towards? And that choice, that's always up to you.